Hey everybody, I am Chuck Vanderstelt with quadwalls.com, and today I am here to share with you some information about the Indiana sales disclosure rules when it comes to selling a home in Indiana, and helping you out with understanding the sales disclosure rules and filling out the form. So what is disclosure all about? I started the blog article to go along with this video with a quote from Mark Twain. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. What does that all mean? Don't blame your problems on ignorance. Instead, where your problems really come from is making decisions on bad information. Luckily, to protect consumers and protect home buyers, the state of Indiana agrees with this, and that's a great policy to have. Buyers deserve to know what they're getting themselves into, and I think it's very fair that sellers have the responsibility to disclose things about a property that they're selling. Sellers, though, they don't need to be so nervous about this process. We're gonna kind of explain what disclosure is and what a home seller should do and give you some tips. And at the last part of this video, I've actually got a copy of the form with me. I'm gonna walk you through how to fill that form out. So what is disclosure? Disclosure is just going through and disclosing to the world any issues with the home. There's a specific set of items that is covered by the disclosure form. The form is required to be completed on any residential real estate in Indiana, as long as that residential property is made up of 4 units or less. So if it's a single family home or a condo or townhome that you're selling, you have to complete it. If it's a multi-unit property, if it has 4 units or less, you also need to complete it. Seller's disclosures aren't required for land, they're not required for commercial properties, and they're not required for multi-unit properties with more than 4 units. What is the form? This is the form. The Seller's Residential Real Estate Disclosure Form, State Form 46234. Holding a copy of it right now. We're going to walk through that in the end of the video. Next section, what are you required to disclose? What you'll see as we walk through the form is there's several sections: appliances, electrical system, water and sewer system, heating and cooling system, some questions about the roof, questions about hazardous conditions on the property, and then the final section is some general additional disclosures. What I hear most when working with customers who are selling their homes is in their kitchen or in their living room doing all the paperwork, getting everything ready to list, is they look to us for advice. And if you're maybe doing a for sale by owner or just trying to better understand the home sale or purchase process, I'm happy to share those tips that we give people as we're sitting with them to get this done. Tip number 1, be honest. This is a really important step in the home sales process. This is a form. You're putting all these statements in writing. Be honest. There's no reason to lie about anything. If you have a problem with the home, disclose that problem with the home and give buyers the opportunity to make their offer based off of that information. Number 2, don't be imaginary. That means don't try to just explain issues away in your mind and say, well, it's not really that big of a deal. The questions and answers are very straightforward and very black and white. We're going to review those together in a moment and walk you through that form. There should be no explaining away something that's wrong with the home. It either is or it isn't. So just be very black and white with answering the questions. Number 3, give detail. There's a couple of sections you'll see on this form where you can give additional details about something in the home that's defective. Be very specific with your details. The most common one would be, does your basement or crawl space have any moisture issues? Wow, that could mean a lot of different things. First off, be honest. If it does, say that it does. But what's much more common is, People's basements, if they've owned the home for 5 or 10 or 15 years, they've probably been through some type of pretty serious weather event, a time where we get 6 inches of rain in a week, or we see 2 feet of snow melt inside of 2 or 3 days. And maybe you got just a little bit of moisture in your home in the basement, not 3 or 4 inches of water, but maybe a small puddle in one corner. Describe that, give detail. And usually that helps buyers be more accepting of that possible defect with your home. You were honest about it, and you gave a great description of when it occurs and how bad it is and those types of things. And that really helps buyers get over those problems. Past issues that have been repaired, you don't have to disclose these. If the repair's been completed properly and the way that you can answer the question indicates that there's nothing currently defective and no current problem, you don't need to disclose those past issues. You've already taken care of those and had those repaired. Number 5, don't doubt yourself. Don't yo-yo back and forth. This goes back to don't be imaginary. Just read the question completely in isolation all as itself, and then select one of the answers. And number 6, changes. When you sell a home and you complete these seller's disclosures, you might complete these and then you're not getting an offer for another 3, 4, 5 weeks. If something changes, or even after you've accepted your offer, and then that buyer's doing their due diligence, doing their inspections and getting their financing approved, and that takes several weeks, you as a seller have a duty to maintain the quality and condition of the home. And if something changes regarding the quality or condition of the home, you have to update your seller's disclosures and have your buyer re-sign those, so that everybody knows that the buyer's been informed of the changed circumstance. So last but not least, it's gonna get a little bumpy here because I wanted to at least get this video out instead of spending lots and lots of time on video editing. So I'm gonna grab this camera. All right, and I'm gonna walk you through in the Indiana sales disclosure. So there's the form right there. That's the form you could look up, and we're gonna try to make this downloadable on our site if you visit the blog article. So let's start walking through this form here. There we go, that's actually a little bit better view. You're gonna see right here at the top, number 1, put in the address. Up here in the corner 2, get the date. Then get your address put in there. Then you've got your first section, appliances. You've got 4 options: not included, defective, not defective, do not know. You're gonna pick one of those 4 options. For example, the first item, built-in vacuum system. If you don't have one, put none, not included. The second option, the clothes dryer. Say there's a clothes dryer in your house, but it wasn't conveying with the home and you have no plans to sell it with the home, put none, not included. And you just kind of work through those, following along with these 4 answers. The next section is the electrical system. Again, you'll just kind of go through these. If you don't have a burglar alarm, right, none, not included, or rented. And you could just check the box. You don't actually have to try to write the words in there, just check that box. If you don't have a garage, so there is no garage door opener, just click none, not included. Very commonly, telephone wiring in blocks, jacks. A lot of people aren't even using this equipment anymore. Guess what? Don't be afraid to say do not know. If you honestly do not know if those work because you never use them, click check do not know. Section C, water and sewer system. And you'll just kind of walk through these and answer all these questions. Again, not included, defective, not defective, or do not know. And then down here, it asks about the sources of your water and where you're discharging wastewater to, whether you have a public water system and a public sewer system, or if you're on a private or community system. If you have a well and septic, if you have a well, you would be on a private water system. If you have a septic system, you would be on a private sewer system. Then you go down to section D, and you answer questions about the heating and cooling systems. And then down here at the bottom of page 1, this is where the seller's going to sign and date. If there's 2 of you, if you're a couple or a partner, go ahead and also sign and date. When your buyer makes an offer, your buyer's going to sign and date on the right-hand side. And if there's 2 people, the second person will sign. Then you want to move on to page 2. There are 2 pages. First section on page 2 talks about the roof. You answer what you know about the roof according to these questions. Section 3 here on page 2, hazardous conditions. So you can go ahead and read through all of those, answer yes, no, or do not know. If you answer yes to any, there's a box directly below where you can explain. Then on section 4, there's a whole bunch of general questions. These are yes, no's, do not knows. Lots of general questions. If you're not working with a real estate agent and you're trying to sell your home yourself, if you don't know what some of these words mean, maybe like an easement, that one comes up the most, or an encumbrance, or something like that. Just go ahead and Google those words. And then down here at the bottom corner too, we've got a section for additional comments. So say whether it was on page 1 or page 2, what you could do is, if say you had something but you wanted to write a note about it, you could put that note right inside there. And then at the bottom of page 2, again, you're going to sign. Again, signature for seller, date, signature for seller, date. Buyer signatures go on the right. And you'll notice there's this bottom line where it says signature of seller again, and that's for both the left and right. And you also see that back on page 1. What that's about is at closing, you will sign these forms again, and you are indicating that the property is in substantially the same or better condition than when you originally completed these. All right, so that is the Indiana Residential Real Estate Sales Disclosure Form, some information about it, some tips about it, and kind of walk you through it. If you have any additional